Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the launch of the first mapping for investors. A French delegation from PACA region on a mission to Djibouti. For the international scene, Global Warming Madagascar has requested financial assistance from rich countries. Welcome to our newsroom. Under the high patronage of the Prime Minister His Excellency Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, the Minister of Finance and Economy in charge of Industry, Ilyas Musa Dawale, the Secretary of State for Investment and Private Sector Development, His Excellency Safiya Mohammed Ali Gadile, with the support of the UNDP, launched the first Sustainable Development Goal investor mapping of Djibouti. The SDG investment platform was developed in collaboration with the Ministry of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, the UNDP in Istanbul International Center for Private Sectors Development, and UNDP Djibouti has provided data, information, and insight on investment opportunities with the potential to contribute to sustainable development. The Djibouti SDG investor map can be used by private investors to explore the 21 investment team identified in 8 sectors that not only have a significant potential to advance the sustainable development goals, but also where government policy and national development needs intersect. Located in the geographical strategic positions of the Horn of Africa, Djibouti offers investment teams that contribute to regional connectivity, economic integration, resilience to climate shocks, and access of finance and improved value chains, particularly in food and agriculture.
The public funds comes from debt, or comes from IFI's concessional grants, or it comes from a local generated revenue. There was a need for looking at which money is floating in the world. So UNDP had to innovate a tool where the Sustainable Development Agenda speaks to harnessing financial resources. And the biggest fund in the world that we all know is private sector. Private sector, if leveraged, will ensure that countries are able to have adequate funding to ensure that they are able to meet their expectation and commitment to their citizens in achieving a sustainable and a developed country.
The Secretary of State for Investment and Private Sector Development, His Excellency Safiya Mohammed Ali Gadile, has indicated while the identified investment teams promote domestic prosperity, they also contribute to regional economic integration and intra-regional trade through inclusive cross-border value chain between neighboring countries for the peace and stability of the region's transport. Djibouti's growth is driven by maritime transport and mega project that can call for the creation of a large hub with the multimodal infrastructure around the port of Djibouti by 2035. Services. Djibouti's economy is dominated by the service sectors, which generated 70% of gross transport services, particularly port activities are the main sources of growth and employ the majority of the workforces. For his part, the Minister of Finance, Ilyas Musa Dawale, said in his speech, renewable and alternative energies, Djibouti has a very large and stable renewable energy potential in terms of wind, geothermal, and solar energy, with average annual sunshine rate of 5 kilo and an insolation rate about 4,000 hours. The financial sector, Djibouti's financial sector, is dominated by banks, which account for 94% of total financial systems assets and 18% of total loans. So to the economy, microfinance and innovation solutions could help the small, medium enterprises, as only 13% of micro enterprises and 39% 99% of small medium enterprises with less than 50 employees use bank loan technology, and communication access to telecommunication and internet services in Djibouti is limited and could be improved through investment that increases mobile broadband penetration. For his part, the Prime Minister Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed said that the level of infrastructure, affordable and environmentally friendly housing is the sustainable goals. The Sustainable Development Goals could help the population of Djibouti to have access to decent housing by addressing the challenges, particularly in view of prices of buying and renting houses in the country. Food and beverage stimulating agricultural activities could generate employment and help combat the high dependence of import for food security and increasing levels of desertification in rural areas. Agriculture's contribution to national GDP is expected to increase from 3.7% in 2012 to 4.1% in 2021 and to 5% of GDP in 2035, according to the Djibouti Vision 2035 strategic document. Health care, the National Health Development Plan 2018-2022 allocates an operating budget comprising 6.7% of total public expenditure to the Ministry of Health to provide quality and accessible care, conduct disease and illness prevention campaigns, and strengthen governance and information management. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, received this afternoon an important delegation from the province Alpes-Côte d'Azur, PACA, a region led by Christophe Madrol, regional councillors and president of the commissions on biodiversity, sea and coastal areas, regional nature parks of the southern region. The French delegation includes about 15 senior officials and experts in various fields, including environment, energy, agriculture, tourism, culture, youth, higher education, research, economy development, and ports. The French ambassador Arnaud Guillois and his colleagues from the embassy took part in this meeting. This trip of the French delegation is part of the preparations of the visit of the president of PACA region, who will go to Djibouti on invitations of the head of the Djiboutian diplomacy next year. This trip was made possible thanks to the signing of the territorial and regional cooperation agreement signed on February 12, 2021 between the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, and his French counterpart, Jean-Yves Le Drian, on the sidelines of the visit of the head of state in France, Ismail Omar Guelleh, for an official visit. The Minister of Decentralization, Qasim Haroun Ali, received yesterday afternoon, November 14, 2021, an important visit from the delegations of the Provence Alpes-Côte d'Azur region, led by the French ambassador to Djibouti, His Excellency Arnaud Guillois. The delegation, led by Christophe Madrol, regional councillor, was composed of, among others, Guillaume Huet, director of Euro-Mediterranean Cooperation, Rugina Farad, Maurice chargé de mission Djibouti, but also more than a dozen professors and researcher experts from different sectors of activity and varied. It is therefore a multi-sectoral and multi-dimensional delegations of the south of France region that meet the minister. The main objective of the meeting being the promotion of the decentralized cooperation. The Minister of Decentralization, Qasim Haroun Ali, thanked the delegation for their visit. He recalled the age-old link between Djibouti and France in general and the relationship between his department and the region Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur. The Minister of Interior, Said Nuh Hassan, had this morning a working visit of the Ambassador of Egypt to Djibouti, Mr. Hussam al-Din Mustafa Reda. The discussion is focused mainly on ways and means to strengthen the bonds of friendship between the two brotherly and friendly countries. The minister welcomed the new Egyptian diplomat and reiterated his unwavering support through his stay. For his part, the new Egyptian diplomat thanked the Minister of Interior for his warm welcome and his availability. The interview took place in the presence of the executive of the Department of Interior. This Monday, November 15, 2021, the Committee of Finance, General Economy and Planning of the National Assembly conducted its traditional hearings of needs and resources of ministerial department, chaired by the parliamentarian Sharmake Musa Ari in the presence of the member of the mentioned committee, as well as other standing committee. The meeting was concurrent with the examinations of the draft law on rectifying state finance for the year 2021, after having had working sessions but with the Minister of Budget Abdul Karim Aden Chair focused on the consequent analysis of public account. The meeting of this Monday includes hearings of the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Robli Abdillah, the Minister of Youth and Culture, Hiba Mumin Alsowe. At the end of the exchanges, the Finance Committee, noting the need to strengthen the obligation and accountability, agreed to the transmission in public session the draft of the LRF 2021 with the favorable opinion and amendment. As part of her towers initiative in the interior region, Muna Osman Aden, the Minister of Women and Family, visited the Tajura region on Sunday, November 14, accompanied by senior officials of her department and two parliamentarians from the regions. The minister and her delegation were welcomed upon their arrival by the prefect of the Tajura region, Hassan Dabali Ahmed, the vice president of the regional council of Tajura, Mr. Abdul Umar. This was an opportunity for the minister to visit the SOS Children village of Tajura, where she was received by the manager and staff of this NGO. The different activities of these structures were presented to them. Then the delegation headed to Dugum, where a jubilant crowd was waiting for them. After the usual greetings, the delegation visited the different community infrastructure, namely the handicraft store, the infirmary and alphanumeric class, the daycare centers, and finally the cheese factories in which was made the exhibitions of the cheese made by the women of Dugum, but also the demonstration of the cheese making process. For her part, the Minister of Women and Family, Muna Osman Aden, congratulated the inhabitants of Tajura for their sense of organization and assured them that the ministry will be at their side by continuing to support them in the realizations of the community development activity. A working meeting was organized in the meeting room of the regional councils of Tajura with the associations after the presentation of the achievement in the areas of interventions of the Ministry of Women and Family in the region of Tajura. The minister discussed at length the progress of the activities of her department. She recommended to continue on this path, to pass a course and to invest more on community development. A workshop of official launches of the program of facilitation of trade at the level of COMESA, sponsored by the Minister of Commerce, was held this morning in the palace, or in the People's Palace. Indeed, the objective being to open up a free and free trade between COMESA countries. The COMESA Secretariat and Government of Djibouti, COMESA Secretariat and the Government of Djibouti signed in June 2021 an agreement for the implementation of coordinated border management activity and a trade transport facilitation program at the Galafi border post on National Road 1 between Djibouti and Ethiopia. The sub-delegated activities amount to €2.5 million financed by the European Union, a program designed to improve regional and international participation and integration through the progressive removal of trade barriers at the border. The Minister of Trade and Tourism, Mohamed Warsama Diriye, has indicated that this project, supported by the Republic of Djibouti, is part of the COMESA's trade facilitation program of €48 million financed under the 2. European Fund for the Sustainable Development to optimize the border process, the interconnectivity of border agencies and upgrading of priority cross-border infrastructure, as well as the acquisitions of equipment to improve cross-border trade and transport facilitation at the Galafi border post. The Ministry of Health celebrated today the World Day Against Diabetes during a ceremony held at the National Library, placed under the patronage of the Secretary General of Health, Dr. Salah Benoita Turaba. The celebration of the World Diabetes Day was attended by several senior officials, including Colonel Wais Omar Boghore, Commander of the Coast Guard, Colonel Hassan Ahmed Boulale, Director of the Health Services of the Armed Forces, as well as senior officials of the Department of Health. As every year, the celebration of the World Day Against Diabetes was an opportunity to look back on the progress and latencies encountered in the prevention of and management of diabetes. The participant then went on a guided tours of the Center for the Care of Diabetic Children, which is directed by Dr. Abdurrahman Moulin-Duxiye. The Secretary General of the Health Department, Dr. Salah Benoita Turaba, praised the efforts devoted to the celebration of this World Day Against Diabetes. As every year, the celebration of the World Day Against Diabetes was an opportunity, he said, to look back on the progress and latencies encountered in the prevention and management of diabetes. Early in the day of Monday, November 15, 2021, the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, made abroad and announced inspection visit to Me'deho, which falls under the region of Oboka, under the command of Commander Ilyas Omar Yusuf, the new head of the corps. In his trip, the General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim was accompanied by Colonel Abdullahi Abdi Farah, Director General of the National Police, Colonel Muhammad Ilmi Khabane, Head of the Armed Forces Operation Division, and Colonel Wahib Musa Khalile, Commander of the Air Force. Then the Chief of Staff greeted the picket of honor set up in his honor before making a tower of the barracks. Then General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim met with the military and chief of the corps to acquire the security situations of the region and to have an updated situation. This position is mountainous and highly strategic because of its proximity to the regions of Tujura. During his visit, the chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces inspected the camp where the soldiers are acclimatizing and hardening themselves in the harsh climate. Afterwards, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim inspected the communication room, which is essential for communication with the Ham Regiment. The CMGA was pleased with the operationality of this company. Finally, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim met with the chief of the villages of Me'deho, Mr. Salah Muhammad. The latter assured him of the good relations of the local population with the military and their involvement to support and help them in their daily life. Mr. Salah Muhammad Saeed said that the rapprochement of the military with the civilian population is an undeniable example, and together we will bring our added value in the development of our dear country.
بقاد كلابا
The UK Royal Navy warship Kent arrived at Djibouti port PDSA yesterday, making the opening of the new British embassy in Djibouti. The 133-meter long ship under the command of the Commander Matt Skies and carrying over 200 Royal Navy personnel on board was welcomed by Miss Jo McPhail, British ambassador to Djibouti. Kent is a type of 23 frigate that has been specifically designated for versatility, which means she can undertake a wide variety of operations, including combat, humanitarian, and training missions. Kent visit is first for a Royal Navy ship was intended to strengthen ties between Djibouti and the United Kingdom. Illustrate.
Also, our visit here demonstrates the strategic importance of Djibouti. This is a great place to refuel and resupply, which is what we'll be doing while we're here, and then we'll be back out at sea, continuing with with maritime security operations, which is what we've been doing in recent weeks in this part of the world, supporting the combined maritime forces.
And I've been here since March, so I'm very much the pathfinder for our new embassy, from dealing with premises and cars and setup, and also the relationship that we want to grow with Djibouti. So we've always had some sort of representation here, but it's been at a distance, usually from Addis, and establishing an embassy and a permanent presence here was really important to us. We see Djibouti as a very strategic position, as a country that is peaceful and quiet in a region that isn't always peaceful and quiet, and we want to develop our relationship and to understand how we can work together more closely. We will be small, we're going to always be small, but one of the things that we've learned by being a small country in the world is that we can make relationships in a different way, and we can collaborate in ways that bring advantages to both sides. So our defence relationship is quite small, and we will be offering assistance in areas where the UK has particular expertise. So some little bits of training for the military, particularly in regards to peace support operations and the role in AMISOM in Somalia, and how we can help with particular skills. And we'll be talking consistently with our colleagues in defence in Djibouti to understand areas where we can really help out. In other areas, we've been getting involved a bit in education. So we've got two initiatives running at the moment, one with the British Council to deliver some more training for teacher trainers in English. We like to focus on the people who can then train other people, and so that multiplies really quickly. And we've got a lovely little project happening at the moment, which is helping helping teacher trainers to learn sign language so that they can facilitate more access to children with hearing difficulties to mainstream education.
The recent weeks, Malagasy President Andry Rajoelina asked rich countries for financial assistance to save more than 1 million people from starvation and to stop the deforestation that is seriously affecting Madagascar. In the Amatotra rainforest in east-central Madagascar, biodiversity is threatened by deforestation and poaching. Each year, several tens of thousands of hectares of forest are destroyed, resulting in the loss of the biodiversity. For several years, various conservation and reforestation programs have been set up to fight against this phenomenon. The island is severely affected by annual cyclone periods of drought and floods. The country is covered with the 20% by forest. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.